Welcome to the Miles to Zen podcast, where we explore growth, transformation, and mindfulness. And today I am so excited to introduce to you our guest, Agatha Ojimelukwe. She is the Dean of the School of Energy and Natural Resources at the Northern Alberta Institute of Technology. I really wanted Agatha on this podcast because I like the way that she shows up in the world. She has a really interesting story that I think will inspire many, and she's doing some really neat work. So with that, I would like to welcome Agatha to the podcast.
Thanks, Shannon. I'm Agatha Ojimelukwe. I currently serve as Dean for Energy and Natural Resources at NAIT. My background, I've mostly been in academia professionally. I've been a lecturer, a researcher, an instructor. I've always been drawn to teaching because I love to empower people. And I've been doing that my whole life. My family and I, so mostly in Nigeria, then my family and I moved here to Canada in 2019. That was a very interesting journey for my spouse and I. We came here with our 2 kids. And today we've been loving it so far. It's been quite a journey, but we're excited. I'm grateful for all the opportunities that I've had in Canada, from one job to another, working hard to get back into post-secondary since that's what I've done for the most of my career, and then coming to Canada and having some bumps along the way, but still grateful for open doors eventually.
Yes, I love that. In one of your posts, you talk about you're grateful for all the no's that led to all the yeses.
Oh yes, I had lots of no's, and I think that I see no's as much a direction for my life as the yeses. There are so many things that I've tried to do. I've checked these things out. I've applied to different jobs and asked to be, taken on for different kinds of opportunities, but they just didn't materialize. But the ones that did were just right. It just felt like, and then sometimes I've asked, oh, what if that other thing I was trying to do the other time had worked? Would I be in this space? Would I be here? I don't think that's right. So sometimes when the no's hit you, or when the no's hit me, they can be very, heartbreaking, especially when you're longing for something and you just keep asking and it's not coming. It's like a no, it's a no, it's a no, or maybe it's a not yet, who knows? But when the right doors open, they swing wide open and you just get it, just get why. So
yeah, I think there's a country song about that, Garth Brooks.
oh, okay.
Since you're living in Edmonton, that's the heart of country for Canada, is in Alberta. So
yeah.
That's where you'll see the most cowboy hats, in fact.
For sure. I agree with you. There was Stampede just last week at Calgary, and there were so many cowboy hats over there.
Yeah.
So it was fun.
And so I remember we met, I don't know, maybe 4 or 5 years ago. And what struck me about you, and which I always love, is that you were so friendly right from the get-go, right? You didn't have a clue who I was. And you were friendly and open. And I think the world just needs so many more of people like you, who you didn't give rats behind what, where I was from or what I was doing. And you were just immediately friendly and open. And I was in this new space of coming into, well, I'd been in the hydrogen industry on and off for years, but a new space coming into Edmonton, the heart of Canada's energy industry, and in a new kind of group. And I really appreciated that. And I think that's how you show up all the time.
Well, yeah. Well, thank you for that. I think I remember our first encounter. It was at some Hydrogen Alberta meeting. It was like an association meeting.
Yeah, it was a smaller thing, not like a big conference.
Yes, no, it was a smaller thing. I tend to be friendly, I think. I know I was just speaking with someone recently. It's a coach, And we were working through a couple of things, and then there was something about me, and I said, I trust first.
Yeah.
So while it's not like, oh, I'm getting to know you, I'm going to build this relation, then I trust you. No, I'm going to trust you, and then we're going to walk back from there.
Yeah, that's how I
Sort of,
start too. I
yeah.
just
So
immediately will give somebody the benefit of the doubt until it goes south, but most of the time it doesn't go south.
yes, that is true. Most of the time, it doesn't go south. There's lots of good people out there.
Mhm.
And so being friendly and nice, because it's nice to be nice to people, I
Yeah.
think.
Yeah, it just makes you feel
Um,
better.
absolutely, it does. And sometimes it's reciprocated. Like sometimes you smile and someone smiles back.
Yeah.
Sometimes you smile and someone does not. They're like, what the hell's wrong with you?
I know. I've had that a lot. People looking at me like I had two heads.
But yeah, thank you for that. And then I'm happy to be friendly. I like being friendly. Um, and I think it's nice to be friendly, not just for yourself, but for the people around you to notice the people around you, right? And
Yeah.
yeah,
And to be present
yeah,
in the room. You've always struck me as being very present. Even
yeah.
though, you've been pretty darn busy, you're still very present.
Oh, sometimes I wish I could be more present. But
Yeah.
more like I will be present in the moment. Like I'm here with you. If I'm in that meeting, I'll be present. I'll pay attention. But believe me, when the calendars get super tight, sometimes I wish I could show up better
Yeah.
with a little more prep. I should be more present and
Yeah.
more ready to engage. But sometimes in the midst of the busyness of the world,
Yeah.
I can just shut those things out and just pay attention to where I'm at right now, and look around. And I've learned something that when I don't do that, I'm not my best self. Like
Yeah.
I don't show up fully. I'm missing a lot of things that are happening because I'm just not centered and I'm not present there. So
Yeah.
I value being present. Yes.
And it's something that can be learned for sure. And something that I think is
Yeah.
often needing constant reminding.
Yeah.
And I find I would often be able to be present at work and then maybe not be present with my family. And
Oh, yeah.
and that's just as important. And you're stressed when you're not being present with your family.
100%. So yeah, I know that's exactly right. There was recently we had a bit of there was I guess yeah, there's always a lot going on at work. Sometimes it gets more intense than others. And then I have little kids. So I have a 10-year-old and an 8-year-old, and then they're in soccer. So I have to be at work in the morning, and in the evenings on some soccer field going, God, oh God, they should do it. I'm living in the moment. But I realized something that that disconnect from work to family, it does help me. Like I would have days that start at 5 a.m. and end at 11 p.m., where it's like nonstop. It's like 5 a.m. to, and then you come back from work and you're running to one soccer field and then another soccer field and you're screaming and you're yelling. But the disconnect does help me. Like when I shut off work and I'm now, okay, kids, let's go for soccer. Then we're having dinner. It does balance me off. And I came out of that period when I should typically be stressed. I was not stressed. I was
Amazing.
because I could shut off. Like, I think the key thing for me was being able to shut off the work and just be there for
Yeah.
the yelling at the kids, go for it, like you can do this, like
Yeah.
positive
Yeah.
yelling.
Yeah, that's amazing.
So yeah, being outdoors again, it's outdoor soccer.
Yeah.
So being outside, the sun is shining. Okay, sometimes it was raining, but yeah, yeah, I find that when I can separate, like compartmentalize these things, even if it's just for a few hours a day, it does help me. Because again, sometimes after the kids go to bed, I'm like, okay, computer, you can come back now. But there are times when I've been so stressed out from work that I wasn't even present mentally at home. And those are the worst times.
Yeah, they are. And I think that the more we can recognize it and ask for some help, when that happens, the better. I remember reading something about from Brene Brown or watching a video or something, and she was talking about with her husband, they talk about that they each bring, 50% into their relationship. Yeah. And she says sometimes.
But it's not always 50, right?
Yeah. Sometimes she'll talk to her husband and say, okay, today I only have 20%. I can only give 20%. And he's like, okay, I've got you. I can do the 80% today. And sometimes you're both at like 10%. And those are the days that you just need to be like, okay, tonight we're going easy on ourselves. We're ordering pizza. We're giving ourselves some grace. And being mindful of that to go through those bumps a little bit easier. So,
I agree.
So how did you decide to start working in a university environment in the first place? And I see that you were on faculty with the Animal Environmental Department and at the University of Port Harcourt.
Yeah.
And that seems so interesting to me. How did you start that?
So when I got into university, I'm trying to think about where to start. So I was admitted into animal and environmental biology. But at that time, I didn't think I wanted to be an instructor or a lecturer or a professor. I was pretty open. I knew things that I really enjoyed. Like I enjoyed working with people. I actually I could tell that I enjoyed teaching because as a child, I used to simulate classrooms in my brain, giving the seats names as I walk through. I guarantee you, I used to do that.
Oh my goodness. Oh, I bet your parents have some interesting stories.
No doubt. So I always thought about a teaching session, so I would like to teach people. And I found that I could do that. Like I enjoyed standing up when I was in like what you would call high school, speaking. I would participate in debates, like debate competitions where you argue a case. And so I was inclined towards things like that. So public speaking, working, talking to people, but never thought about a university setting teaching. And I also, keeping that in mind, I think that I liked the idea of working in a corporate organization as well. So I would say I kept my options open. And the traditional Nigerian child is, oh, you're going to be a doctor or a lawyer or an engineer. You're going to try to get one of those. So I'm like, oh, maybe I'll start off with the animal and environmental biology as my first degree and then pivot into the College of Medicine and become a medical doctor. So I feel like I kept my options really open. So then I'm in one of our 100 level classes, and a woman walks into the class. At that time, her name was Dr. Hart. She stepped in front of the podium and she was teaching. She taught with so much grace, and I don't know, there was just something about her teaching. And I looked at her and I said, my God, I want to be like this woman.
Oh, isn't that amazing?
Yeah. And she knows because I've told her this, like, because I went back to the school where I got my degree to teach. So she was on the panel and they all know the story. But it was Professor Hart that inspired me to become a teacher because I could see, and she didn't just teach. She would talk about the material and then talk a little bit about life and priorities and goals and challenges and how you can navigate these things. It was a nice blend of teaching the technical stuff and almost empowering people through motivation and inspiring students to just be more and be better, be bold, be brave, be everything. And I was like, oh my God, this is who I want to be. So I started to ask myself questions. So how do I get to become a lecturer in Nigeria, like in a setting like this? And so that set me on a path to, okay, you need to study. Nigeria is very competitive. There's a lot of people, like over 200 million people in Nigeria.
Wow. So
jobs are very competitive, very competitive. So you would need to get more than a bachelor's degree if you wanted to get into the post-secondary. You would need to get a master's. You need to get a bachelor's with a very high GPA and a master's and then a PhD. So I started to plot this path for myself to become that person. So she inspired me. And then there were a host of other professors who then inspired me even more. And it really drove home the 4 years I spent at that institution was, this is what I want to be. This is where I want to go. So that's how I started. I found that being in post-secondary really aligned with the things I care about, which is supporting people, empowering people, you know, yeah, those kinds of so that's the start of my journey. I mean, it was a very bumpy ride getting there, but it's been worth it all the way.
Yeah,
So
it usually
yeah,
is.
yeah. Oh, and there were challenges because in my mind then, and that's the thing with when you have a plan, that's one thing. But I'm a person of faith, so I believe that God's plan is it's different. It might can look different from what you've planned. It's always better.
Yeah, yeah,
Um, so I did have challenges along the way for things that I thought that should have been in place for me to get to where I needed to be. Like, you need to now start working hard to make sure you get all A's, like straight A's. So you finished top of the class. So there's no question about you coming to get the job. Oh boy, was that
yeah.
not the
You
case?
are the worthiest.
Yeah, trying to be the worthiest, but not that didn't quite work out the ways I planned. But in the end, it's all worked out really
Mm.
well. Yeah.
And so what made you decide to up and move countries?
Oh, okay. Yeah. Um, well, there's a couple of things there. We wanted a better future for our kids and for ourselves too. Um, our country has its problems and its pros and its cons. We still love home. We're still going to visit home, but we knew that we would be better off, not just us, but our kids would be better off, and their future would be a lot more secure if we could explore other places, places where the systems support growth and support innovation and encourage you to be an entrepreneur and encourage you when you do really well. And that's from a system perspective. So yeah, we're just really looking for that better opportunities for us and our kids. So that's why we moved.
I
Yeah.
can only imagine. Did you come straight to Edmonton?
Yes. So my sister lives here. So she came here first. We were considering a couple of places, the UK or Canada, and there were different pathways for us to get there. But my sister was here, so she was in the UK. I studied in the UK too, so I left Nigeria and got my master's in the University of London. She got her PhD from the University of Cardiff and then was hired by a university here in Edmonton, McEwan University. So with her here, we're like, okay, yeah, we're gonna come here. So that's why we came straight to Edmonton because people have asked us why we did that. But
Yeah, well,
yeah,
that's nice. You had your
yeah,
sister. Is she an older sister or a younger sister?
yes, my older
Mhm.
sister.
She paved the way for you a little bit.
Yes, 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 and she's still here. So
Oh, that's great. And I remember when I moved from, I'd been in Europe for about 7 years, and then I moved back to Vancouver. And even though I'd done my education in Vancouver, well, my undergrad in Vancouver, I came back and I had the MBA and I was looking for work. And I got
mhm,
well, you'll understand the European market, but do you understand the Vancouver market? And
yeah.
and I was just like, are you kidding me? And I was getting these like people were encouraging me to go back to waitressing, which I liked, but I
Yeah,
didn't want to do that. I'd done that already. I wanted to, do something with my degrees,
yeah,
and I found that transition tough. And I read and I think talked to you about that as well, that it's a little hard when you first land somewhere to start. So can you tell us a little bit about
oh no.
that? Because
Oh,
I'm
it
just
was,
like, look where you are today. You
I
are
know.
providing inspiration to thousands, thousands of people, both men and women, about your journey. And to know that if you're beginning somewhere today,
Dear.
look where you can end up in how many years? 6?
6 years. Yes.
That is amazing. Like you've done just so well. And I think the greatest gift of that is empowering other people to say, look, I can do the same thing. I just have to
Yeah.
be okay with the no's and just
Yeah.
keep moving.
Yes,
So
absolutely.
so what did that look like, 6
Oh,
years ago?
oh boy. So in all honesty, I came in with optimism. And I feel like, again, as I start by trusting, I start with optimism. Like if I have just a tiny bit, if there's a tiny bit of chance that it might work, I'm probably gonna take it. So we got
Love
here and
that.
I was honestly more optimistic than my spouse. But I'm glad it's all worked out for both of us now. So I mean, I hit the ground running, started to apply to different positions that I thought that, you've got a doctorate, you've got a master's. I should be able to apply for, some of those jobs that will utilize the skills that I have with those
Yeah.
advanced degrees. It just didn't happen. So I would apply to jobs. I got trained, I enrolled in a center for newcomers to help me with resume and all of that. And no matter how much help I got with that resume, it just didn't resonate for any of the positions that I submitted things to. And I just refuse to believe that it's because of where I've got training, which it's probably the case, but who knows? Or any of those other factors.
Well,
Because
and that I've found that most of my jobs are from networking and knowing
see,
people and knowing the right
yes,
people, doing the
yes,
information interviews.
yes, that's right. But you see, I had to learn that. So I feel like I came and I needed to train myself. Like I needed to learn and relearn. So as much as I could say, oh, all the doors are being shot at me, but I tried to do a little bit of reflection to say, what do I need to do differently to get into this space? But all that being said, I threw in my application for it was called, it was a customer service coordinator role, not customer service. It's embedded in there. It's a service coordinator role with an IT company somewhere in Leduc, not too far from Edmonton. And the president of the organization just said, "Hey, I'm going to give her a call." I was shocked. Like he gave me a call, and I spoke with him on the phone because he's like, "I saw your resume," because I threw in there that I had a master's,
Yeah.
and he's like, "Yeah, you want to come work as a service coordinator?" And I'm like, "Yeah, I can do the job." And he invited me over for interview, and then I started working as a service coordinator. It didn't require a master's. It didn't require a
I
bachelor's degree.
probably couldn't believe his luck.
Yes. And so, that's how it finally ended up because he called me, I could speak English, and he's like, "Okay, come on in." And then I started doing the job, and he's like, "Wow." And then after me, he's hired another Nigerian, and he's said such good things about my time with his organization. And I've been so grateful because that was my first job. That's the job that got to pay the bills. That's the job that kept me through the 2 years. I was still looking to see if I could get into post-secondary.
Right.
So I have so much gratitude for my time with that company and that leader, because they were my first yes. They were my,
Yeah.
"Oh, you have no Canadian experience. You're from Africa, Nigeria. Do they speak English there?"
Right.
I'm like,
Right.
yes, but I started that off, but then I was still open to exploring opportunities to work with, post-secondary institutions. And I must say, you've talked about networking. Quite frankly, I think that networking would have gotten me into the door way faster. But even that needs to be learned. Like,
Yeah.
and I feel like networking is not just about, "Hi, hello, I know you, bye." Sometimes it's about the value that you can bring to the conversation when you do talk with someone in that kind of setting. So I wouldn't say I had that many opportunities to demonstrate my competency or the things that I could offer to a larger organization until I applied to a position at NAIT. It was for a market research manager. I didn't even get invited for interview, just so you know. And I was still working at this organization. They hired someone for the position, and my application was in limbo somewhere. I don't know.
Yeah.
And then out of the blue, I remember calling my sister because I call my sister, my younger sister was living in South Africa. And then I had the one here in Edmonton. They were like my go-to people for crying.
Everybody needs those people.
Oh, they were my people. So there were times when I was so down. I was so down. I'm crying my eyes out. I would just call my sister who's here in Edmonton and she'd be like, okay, Agatha, I'm coming to your house. She would show up in my house 10 p.m. and she'll just be there with me.
Oh,
So I don't know what I would do without my sisters. They're like my best friends. So my younger sister has since moved to Canada from South
okay.
Africa. But while she's there, I'll go on the phone and like, I don't know why God thinks I can take this. Like, because it's so like when you're trying so hard, it can weigh you down. So then I started doing things like you said, I start to build or find opportunities to demonstrate my competency. So I knew the things I was really good at. I'm also very good at advanced analytics and building models to predict things. So I got on a research group with some researchers in Mount Royal University, and there's another university in the US. So they were looking for someone who had built a model, like a mathematical model to predict XYZ before. So they found me online. So I had put some of my models online
Oh,
as a way
wow.
to demonstrate that I can do this thing. And they're like, hey, Agatha, if you did this thing, can you join our group and let's work together on trying to develop a mathematical model to predict how COVID-19 may spread or not spread. And then I can take the African perspective and they can take the one for Canada and another for the United States. And so I worked with them. And then the same thing with some researchers in McEwen University. We started again around COVID-19 and modeling and those kinds of projects. So I was doing that. I still had a day job, and all of these were voluntary. Nobody's paying me anything
Yeah.
for it, but I'm engaging and trying to build that network.
That's where I found often my best job opportunities came from volunteering. And
Exactly.
I was surprised, but I feel you always end up getting more than you give when you volunteer.
Yes. Yes, you do.
You just don't know what
Um,
that package is going to look like, but
exactly. You don't know going in, but
yeah,
it's always better in the end. So then out of the blue, someone from NAIT, we were looking for someone to do like a contract or contract work for a month to help to do some data analysis and do some predictive analysis here and there. So because of I had submitted my resume for a different research manager position, they're like, hey, why don't you check on that person? And then I got this random call from someone at NAIT who said, hey, would you be interested in a 1 month gig? And I'm like, hell yeah, I'm gonna do it. Yeah, and so they asked me to again data analysis, look at the data, tell us what's wrong, tell us what's right, tell us what went wrong. So I was analyzing data from different sources. And then as the project was going on, I was going to present to, again, I'm a contractor, I'm not a full-time employee at NAIT. And then they said, if you do this well, we're actually thinking about creating a position that would continue to do this kind of analytic work within NAIT. If you're interested,
wow.
maybe let's see how well you do the job. So I did the job. I wrapped it up. I did my presentation to the management team there at the time, and they were like, "This is so good, thank you, very insightful." And then while I was just about wrapping that up, another position showed up at NAIT. They were looking for an institutional research specialist. So at that time, I've got more experience with doing that research with
Yeah,
those different groups. I still had my day job, which still gave me that Canadian experience that I've been able
yeah,
to keep this job and do it so well for 2 years. And so I applied to that position. So I didn't wait for the position that they said would open up sometime in summer. I applied for the position that was posted, which was still in that research space, and they wanted somebody who could do predictive analytics. And I'm like, yeah, I can do that. So I interviewed for that position. And because I had that initial interaction with NAIT, I could tell that story again about the project we did, that I did, and the outcome. And then they tested me, like they gave me some data to predict if a student would pass or fail based on that. I'm like, I'm going to eat this thing. I've been waiting my whole life for this.
bring it on.
And so I did it and it was really good. And then I got the job and I was so excited. And you know what? It's been that. And it's just been, NAIT has been an open organization because when I choose to develop a different set of skills, which is what I try to do when I analyze a position. So as a research specialist, I would provide the data that gives decision makers the opportunity to make informed decisions. And I was going to look at, okay, there was an opportunity to become the manager for energy and environment at NAIT. And I thought about it. Well, the energy sector is pretty exciting in Alberta. But aside from that, I get to learn new skills, which is, hone in on that people engagement, industry engagement, trying to build products that meet their needs and it's very relevant to them and Alberta. Recognizing that I would need to be more in the face of people. I would need to do a lot more external engagement, whereas my previous roles, even as an instructor, is very inward. I don't get to do a lot of outside interaction with people. So I did feel like I would have a little bit of a learning curve there, but it was something I was willing to learn. So I applied for the position again, and someone took a chance on me, and I got that one. Apparently, I did it quite well. So I found that, yeah, I like to interact with people. I typically, like if you had asked me, I would say I'm an introvert. But every time I say that to people, they're like, hell, Agatha, you don't know yourself.
Well, I think of myself as an ambivert. So
Okay.
I love, hanging out with people, but
Yeah.
I recharge on my own with a book. And that's my happy place.
Yeah. That is so my happy place too. I love to read. I love to learn. So I would typically find myself all by myself, just maybe listening to a masterclass or just reading a book.
Yeah.
So I think that's me. I like to be around people, but I crave the times when I'm just by myself and I can recharge and even sometimes do my best work by myself before I go out. So
my husband says that to me. He's like, I'm often just so surprised at how much you need your alone time. And me too, thinking that I was a card-carrying extrovert. And just because I did the interaction well and I enjoy people, but nope, I'm a card-carrying ambivert, just like you.
you. Yes, I agree. So there have been, now I remember the times where I've cried, the times when things didn't work out the way I wanted it to work out, when I thought I would get something, but it just didn't happen. But now I also remember a lot the ones that did work out, like the doors that did open and the stories around that and the perseverance and the grit. And I do remember doing a lot of training myself. So aside from volunteering, I was writing like the project management professional exam. I mean, I knew I could do project management, but here you need to put that extra effort to demonstrate that you have the competencies that you do have. So I would do that. I got training from the U of A, like a course, so that I have some kind of Canadian training in my resume.
Yeah.
And I went on to get certified in data analytics by Microsoft, and just to demonstrate that I could use those tools and have them in my resume, but also have the stories to tell as well that demonstrate that I can do this thing. And I remember one of the director that eventually hired me into the full-time position did say that the people on the panel, one of them was the person who recruited me for the contract position. And that person spoke so well of the work I did and how I worked with the team and everything. So I wouldn't say I'm actively seeking people to say nice things about me. I'm just actively trying to do a good job, like to do work that's relevant, that's impactful. And those stories tend to tell themselves.
Yeah.
And just constantly continuing to do that. I love to inspire people. So I would post because I want to be intentional about that.
Right.
I would do the things I do, trying to be as intentional and present as possible, but also knowing that there are and I wouldn't say every position I applied for at NAIT I got. There are positions I applied to even as a staff at NAIT that I wasn't even interviewed for.
Right.
And there are some that I interviewed and I got the position. There are some that I interviewed and they said, Agatha, this position is not for you. We know what you'll be good at. This is not it. And
Oh,
sometimes it's
that's
even
hilarious.
a lower. Yeah, it is, right? And so I'm grateful for all those people who've had all those conversations with me.
Yeah.
Yeah, I and I tend to do things afraid. I guarantee you. Like even speaking, I'm going to meet someone. I'm terrified.
Yeah.
I'm meeting someone, and I know in my heart, I think, wouldn't you rather be home just by yourself now? Maybe. But
Right? Oh, I can
yes,
relate. And even those, like the conference presentations, the work meetings, yeah, you have to step through the fear.
you have to step through the fear, and it always is beautiful on the other side. I've seen it be beautiful on the other side of fear, or even on the other side of pain. A couple of years ago, I started exercising every morning and I push myself every morning. And I recognize when my body is in pain.
Yeah.
But I say, well, I'm not, my mind has to be in a different place. So I push through the pain to get the results that you see. And I've seen that the benefit of that every day I wake up to get on my bike and I'm going high intensity on this bike. I get to the point where there's pain and then I say I'm gonna push through the pain. That is how you become consistent and you show up regardless or despite, right? And then there's beauty at the end of that. I'm not saying don't take time out to rest. I do have I don't exercise on Saturday and Sunday. I believe that everybody needs rest to be their
Yeah.
best self.
And if
But
it's a different kind of pain, don't push through it.
no, like I know, like that, and sometimes I even liking it to like childbirth. Like it is a painful it doesn't have to be these days, but if you're going the natural way of,
Yeah.
of
Yeah.
giving birth, it is a painful process. And then
Yeah.
at the end of the day, you have the baby. I'm not saying kill yourself, like burn out. No, that's not what I'm saying. But when I guess you know in your gut when you just need to hang in it just
Yeah.
a little bit more.
Yeah.
Um,
I've gotten to a number of, I used to do a lot of hiking and mountaineering. And I remember one hike in particular, or one, I was climbing up this mountain and I did,
yeah.
I think, sets of 20 steps for 4 hours, knowing that I was going to push through because I was going to get to the top of that mountain. And it's the
Okay.
same thing. Now I know that you need to
I
run. And I was
realize.
wondering, just before we sign off, if you
Yeah.
were able to share some of your words of wisdom
Okay.
for our listeners on this podcast today.
You know what I'm going to share. It's the unfamiliar road could be the same place where you get lost. And by the way, I got this from a song. Um, if only I could remember what the title of the song is. But anyway, now I'm going to tell you those lines. It's the
We'll find
unfamiliar
it.
road. Yeah, it's the same place where you could get lost or find yourself. So don't let fear hold you back. You will have great stories to tell. And the other is be afraid, but do it anyway, because fear is a precursor to valor. And embrace the highs and the lows, the sadness and the joy. There's always something to learn.
That is fantastic. And what a way to wrap up. Thank you so much, Agatha, for joining us on the Miles to Zen podcast. You've had such a rich and deep and scary and happy journey. That is such a pleasure to talk to you.
Thank you so much, Shannon. Thanks for having me.
Thank you so much for listening. I hope you enjoyed this episode of the Miles to Zen podcast. Please share, like, subscribe. It really helps the algorithm and helps people find this content. And I look forward to seeing you next week with another podcast episode. Have a great week.